2.
Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on August 3rd, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I personally utilize to guide virtually every movement I make. With this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of others with varying degrees of success, depending on their own personal efforts. Now, with this in mind, we are continuing on with off-worlders, with aliens that are multiracial species. Okay. Now, yesterday we dealt with the elephant. Today we are dealing with the dwarves. Okay. Now understand, dwarves are what humans call them. They do not call themselves dwarves. Okay, but we'll get to that in a minute. But before I get into it, let's just see what we got going on. Before I get into it, I was looking at the numbers, at the subscribers I've got, and I got thinking, is it really about how many people are in here? I mean, we know for an absolute fact that that there's lots of people out there that watch things after the fact. The reality of it is this. Okay. By the way, how you doing, LA? Hope you're feeling better. And I'm hoping that little fur bag isn't causing too much trouble. But hopefully he's feeling a little better and a little bit more at ease as well. It's hard to believe, LA. 10 years and in 10 days, we're airborne on our way down there. But no, I took a look at it. And I'm thinking, we've got literally billions of people listening to people say, hey, the world's going to end. Well, I'll save you the whole lot of hassle. The world will end in time. Okay, probably in 5 billion years or so. I'm thinking way beyond what we have to worry about. Now the funny part about it is I keep getting people that come back to me and go, oh, I caught on the news today, we're going to be at war before the end of the year. Something we got to realize. Okay, number one, I don't watch the news. Renee, you are in with the gold. How you doing? The thing we really have to realize is for the last decade, maybe 20 years, every year, I get told the same thing by people. They're watching the news because I don't. They're watching the news. They go, "Oh, we're going to be at war by the end of the year." You'll notice there are little arguments going on around the world. Okay, but we are not as a world at war. Okay, now today we're going. And let me just double check something here because I don't want to put my foot completely in my mouth. Okay, I've got to make a couple of adjustments for that I just found out. I just got told today. But where are we? The Corbor, yeah. I just got told today. Rachel, you're in with the silver. How you doing? Now, in Races of the Worlds, I've listed the race as dwarf, but we got to realize dwarves don't call them dwarves. My understanding, somebody can certainly correct me if I'm wrong here. My understanding is the Japanese of today did not call themselves Japanese. My understanding is they used to call themselves Nipponese because they were on the island of Nippon. Can't imagine why they call themselves that. Well, dwarves, I've been asked to correct their name. Yes, humans refer to them as dwarves. Absolutely. And everything you know about them, or maybe everything you think you know about them, same people, just a different dinner. Oh, sure, you're making dinner and I'm working. But I got to ask that you brought it up there, Rachel, because I'm nosy. What are you having, if you don't mind me asking? Now, dwarves themselves, dwarves themselves literally refer to themselves as the Coldor. Okay, that being said, everything else about them is still the same thing. You got to realize these guys are when I talk about headstrong, I mean, their literal form of greeting is come up to each other. You grab hold of each other like two hands, bring your head back, and just hammer your forehead into the other guy. Okay? It's the equivalent of a handshake. I'm going to warn you, do not give a dwarven handshake to a dwarf. Not if you're human. Odds are you're getting a concussion, and virtually guaranteed you're going to have a split skull. You'll at least break the skin. I'm not sure that's enjoyable. There was one, and I think it's in book 2. I gotta check it because I gotta give you a reference point. Where is book 2? Volume 2. And we go here. There we are. There is a race that you'll get to see in book 2. Okay. They evolved it's an ancient race. Okay. They evolved underground. Well, they evolved on the surface. They moved underground as the dinosaurs started to die off. Okay. But they are a race that are called the Terranar. Now, the reason I bring them to your attention is because they live down in the same area that the Coldor live. Okay. But the Terranar evolved from the Pachycephalosaurus, which, in case you're not aware, if you are a paleontologist and paleontology enthusiast, the Pachycephalosaurus is the one that has the crown ridge around their head. Okay. There was one issue way, way, way back where a Coldor went head to head with a Terranar. The Terranar lost. Okay. Now, granted, the Coldor was knocked over, but the Terranar was knocked out. Okay, which might give you an idea of just exactly how solid their head is. Now, the Coldor are a very wonderful group of people, a little temperamental. 90% of their food is fermented. Okay, this is why, like, when you're looking at a Coldor, okay, when you're looking at them, number one, they like their fermented foods, whatever it is, whether it's fruit, whether it's a wheat of some form, or whether it is simply fermented greens. Okay, whatever, as long as it's fermented, they like it. This is one of the reasons why, when they do get into trouble, they end up literally being told they can't have any fermented food. Okay, now here's where it gets dangerous, because you don't keep them on the alcohol, and they're going to have problems. So they get locked up with no sort of fermented food or drink, period. Punishment for anybody else. Okay, because you are looking at mixed societies in some cases. The punishment for any other crime by anybody that is not Coldor. Okay, because the Coldor get put in an isolated cage, they immediately get put into solitary. There's none of this put you into a group and if somebody misbehaves, put you in solitary. They put them in solitary right off the bat. Okay, and the reason for that is real simple. You're not going to have a whole pile of people just milling about. Take away the alcohol from these guys. Now, you guys know what a human alcoholic can get like if they don't get their alcohol. Okay, that's what the dwarf is like before you take their alcohol away. So they put the dwarf into a cave on their own, like into a cage on their own, with no fermented input. Okay, punishment for anybody else, any crime, is literally put them in the same cage with a Coldor, with the imprisoned Coldor. Now you can see how this is going to end not well. This is why it is so important in their world. Do not break their laws. And by the way, to give you an idea on that, yes, the Coldor have a very simple issue. Okay, very simple issue. One of the biggest crimes: deliberately spill their alcohol. Like when you're watching people interact, and you see a bully go, "I'm going to knock this person's food on the ground." Okay, this is a punishable crime in the Coldor society. They will lock you up. Okay, and they'll lock you up after they drag you up from underneath the number of people beating on you. So you're not getting a good day. Okay, don't get me wrong. There are some bullies. There always are, but they're not dumb enough to spill food or drink. Okay, unlike the Parake, who it's not a question of it being alcoholic. The Parake, which are another race altogether, okay, are absolutely intent on all the finest foods. They don't believe in spilling food, even as a bully, because, well, it's a waste. Now, a bully will take, a bully Parake will take the food off another Parake's plate, but you got to be quick because they'll bite your hand. But the Coldor, they turn around and they will interact with each other. They are. Let me pull this out just to make sure I've got the right issue. Where are we? Shrink that. And what do we got here? Well, here we go. Thank you very much, Renee. I personally love curry rice. Curry chicken. Not too hot, but yeah, curry chicken with rice and vegetable stir fry. I don't like it too hot, but I love the flavor of proper curry. Yeah, ultimately it really does. LA's going, so blood sort of pollutes their alcohol system in a lot of ways, yes. Okay, it's funny if you ever see a Coldor go up against a Sanguinan. Sanguinans run into a problem because when a Sanguinan, which is what you know as a vampire, goes to bite a Coldor, the Coldor will simply turn on the Sanguinan and headbutt them. Now, this doesn't do much for their face, but completely mucks up their teeth. Oh, there we go. I haven't quite figured out what I'm having for dinner yet. I know I got to do something. Oh, I know what I'm probably going to have is beef stir fry. And then here we have the cooking show on. Here we have our Keith Andrews and the cooking show. Do not take my hints on how to cook. Okay, I tried one day because I'm willing to try a lot of things. So I tried one day. I tried ice cream and ketchup. Not bad for your health. Lousy mix in my eyes. Now the Coldor, the Coldor are a very simple group. They absolutely are phenomenal artisans, and that's where their real pride is. Their love is absolutely of fermented foods. Just want to make sure I get the right information here. Where am I here? There we go. Should have had that open to start with. Now, the nice part about it is the Coldor do have and they are run as a monarch, as a monarchy. Oh, nice. Sounds like Rachel has a real head on her shoulders where it comes to cooking. The Coldor, they now, they're a short race. They're down around the 4 foot mark, right? They're down around the 4.5 foot mark, which is fantastic. Okay, but they like their vaulted ceilings, their intricate artwork. Okay. So from their standpoint, they will spend literally decades carving out a cavern. Okay. But they only carve to a certain point, and then they leave the rest of it rough hewn. Now, the neat part with the Coldor, okay, is they run in family clans. They are a monarchy, but the monarch says, okay, on the whole, this is how we behave. Now, they have broken into various different races, but the Coldor is the entire race, okay, the entire species. Now, just like humans, you got humans of various different races. You got your Orientals, Caucasians, your Africans, your Europeans, you name it, right? The Coldor have the same thing. But we start off just for a little bit of a breakdown here, because these are guys, they have 3 loves. Okay, and it's a toss-up which one's better and which one's more drawn. Okay, the Coldor are absolutely stubborn. They love to dig. They love to build. Okay, and when I'm talking about building, I am talking about they like their buildings as in carved straight into stone. These guys will sleep on stone. Let's face it, they were made out of the earth. They were, they were brought to life in the caves, and that's where they took to. So for them, sleeping on a stone slab is as comfortable as sleeping on a feather-filled mattress for humans. Okay, but when you take a look at the basic species, you're looking at the Coldor. Okay, now when you look at the ones that stayed not on the surface of the ground, but in the shallow mines, in the shallow caves, these are what they call barrowine. Okay, or if you will, they're barrowine Coldor. Okay, still known as dwarves by humans. But then, like some humans say about different nationalities, the Coldor all look alike. Not really, but you take a look at the barrowine, okay, or more to the point, barrowane. The barrowane they live in the mountains, they live in the caverns. Okay, but eyeballs aren't on, can't read that. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Well, that's just it. LA's going, Stonebed doesn't sound very good to me. No, it wouldn't. For you, a feather-filled, a down-filled mattress would probably be better. Okay, the barrowine they very rarely leave the entrance to their cave. Tim Hoffman, how you doing? I haven't seen you around for a while. Hopefully things are going well. I'd say I missed you in the show last night, but we weren't on Spaced Out last night. But the barrowine will come out to the edge of their cavern. They don't leave the underground very much. Okay, they're not the furthest in, and you can run into them in the caves. Okay, but they come out to the edge. Now there is a secondary group. These are the more adventurous ones because the barrowine, tend to stay hidden from people. They don't interact much. And I'll tell you, their social skills show it. Okay. But then we have the other group, which is just about as prolific. And they are the Ebenwine. And the Ebenwane. The Ebenwane are the Kaldar that live out in the forest, in the hills. But they're the ones that will go out and interact with other races. You know, when you think about it, the Ebenwane and the Parquet and the Brockade have a real good interaction, okay, amongst other races. But the Ebenwane are the ones that will communicate with humans. Okay, they're not overly reclusive. They still like their fermented food. Yeah. You know, the neat part about it is, you know, humans talk about being power drinkers. Well, and a human hasn't got a prayer about drinking the Kaldar. Okay. Now, I said that the Kaldar have three loves. One is their fermentation. Okay. And they can ferment just about anything. The second is combat. Okay. They do not fight when they're sparring. If somebody doesn't get a broken limb out of the deal, probably weren't fighting well enough. Okay. Now, I will tell you, because of the amount that they fight and the amount that they interact with each other on that level, they heal at a staggering rate. Okay. And rest assured, now you guys remember Monty Python. Okay. And you remember the old comment, you know, the guy gets cut to pieces, he goes, "And down there, flesh wound." Well, the Kaldar basically have the same outlook. You don't break it off, it's still usable. Okay, but they love the combat. So they will fight just because. Okay, the third love is shiny things. Specifically, they prefer their gold, silver, platinum, but they don't have any aversion to gems either. If it's polishable, if it's able to be shined up, okay, then you got something that may catch their attention. Not too big on the leather one. For the most part, the Kaldar, they deal in heavy duty armor, as in metal armor. Okay. But you take a look at the Ebenwane. These guys deal in high quality leather carving. Okay, they deal in high quality leather, high quality hides. But that's because the Ebenwine live in the forest, in the hills. They don't live underground. Now, the neat part about it is when you go to the Barrowine, okay, the Barrowine have this really neat little issue. Okay, these guys literally will pack around a stone shield. Okay, and no, we are not talking about shale or mica. Okay. You know, we are talking about these guys will cut loose a whole chunk a whole chunk of granite. Okay, so as you can well imagine, yeah, they're only 4 feet tall and 4 feet freaking wide. Okay, so you got the three loves. So here you have a problem. Let's see how we're going to confuse a dwarf. You know, in the Coldor. That's easy. You've got this whole carafe of pull a blank on that. Okay, we're not going to worry about it. Jambal, also known as dwarven beer. So you put in front of a dwarf, and you put in front of a Coldor. Okay, you put a stein. You put a stein of jumbo on the table. Put a small stack of gold, and you put a battle axe. Pick two. You will confuse the daylights out of the poor guy. Okay, I will tell you, what one will do eventually is they'll grab hold of that neat little gold. They'll pound it flat and then mold it to the weapon. Okay, now they're dealing with all three loves because they've got their battle axe in one hand, their jumbo in the other, and now they can go and have their fight. And they've still got the gold handy. Yeah, that's a cute thought. Fermenting the Oreos. Unfortunately, Oreos break down really badly. But the Kaldar can, on the whole, and we're talking about the Barrowwain and the Evenwing, are absolutely stronger than humans. On the whole, they'll lift a good 50 pounds more than a standard human. Now, you've already heard me mention before, I mentioned the Corbor. The Corbor are the deep Kaldar. Okay, they are the ones that go way down in the belly of the mountain. They're the ones that go down near the magma flows. Okay, these guys do not see daylight. At least with the Barrowwain, they will see the daylight. How we doing, Will? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day's been going well. Now, the Corbor they never see daylight. The only time you'd ever see them on the daylight is if someone captures them and drags them up, kicking and screaming, because they can't see in regular light. Their eyes did not grow that way. Or more to the point, they evolved to handle the dark. Now, when you're looking at the Corbor, you're looking at stronger yet. And again, on top of the normal, when you go to the Corbor, you're now dealing with a race that, because the Kaldar, the Dwarves, literally gauge their strength and their superiority by might. The Corbor can lift almost double what the Barrowwain can lift. Okay, so you think a Barrowwain can lift the only time a Corbor has ever been known to have a hangover is if he actually got into a fight and you find him draped over the edge of a ledge. That's what they call a hangover. But that's not because of having a headache. That's because he was unconscious when he hit that. But no, Corbor don't even have a word for, well, rough translation, a Corbor does have a word for hangover. In human colloquial terms, they call you a wuss. Okay, a wuss, a lightweight. But no, Corbor themselves, because all of their food is fermented, they have a staggering defense against alcohol, not to mention against poisons of other forms. Okay, ironically, they also do not have major problems with heart disease. But when you're looking at the Corbor, okay, if a standard Kaldar, okay, if an average Kaldar can lift 150 pounds, a Corbor will lift 300 without even thinking. Okay, but those are not the big issue. Okay, and I do need to, what do I got here? Now, these guys, and again, the Corbor are not the most social people. Okay, you're likely to find them very stuck in their ways. Can't imagine why. But the rarest of all that you'll ever find are the Densicor. Now, the Densicor are, well, number one, they're short. Okay. And yes, it's absolutely fine to call a Densicore any name you want. You can call them stupid, retarded, you can call them ignorant, call them anything under the sun. Okay. Because they're not going to know you called them something. Even the other caller cannot tell a Densicore, can't talk down to a Densicore, because the Densicore, it's not they don't care, it's they don't know. Okay, now bear in mind, the Densicore will not be any major architects. These are diggers. They are literally putting their workers. They put their head down and they go. Okay, but here's the kicker. You take a Densicore, he will dig in a straight line until he runs out of line. Way too many Densicore have ended up literally digging themselves into a magma flow. Okay, this is why they're guarded. Okay, you don't take a Densicore out. Even the Corbor will not send a group of Densicore out unwatched. Okay, because if you don't guide these guys, they will carry on in a straight line and won't matter what they're up against, they'll dig through it. Okay, but here's the kicker. They're only 2.5 to 3 feet tall. And combined, you put two Densicore together, one on either end of a platform. Between them, they will pack approximately a ton of gear. Okay, that's only 2 of these guys. Now this means individually they will drag 1,000 pounds on their own. Because you got to remember, 2,000 pounds to a ton. Okay, but these guys don't stop. You can't scare them because, well, they actually have to register you're trying to scare them. You know, they call it you can scare them, but it's got to be pretty heavy duty, overwhelming odds. And whatever you do, it doesn't matter if they're afraid. You're going after their gold. You're going to run into interesting trouble. I honestly don't know, in all fairness, Joseph, because I don't recall the Doomsday Machine. I remember the name of it. Okay. But I don't recall watching that. I don't recall much about the episode. But yeah, ultimately, you take a Densicore, and you say, go that, dig a hole from this side of the mountain to the other. You better stay with them. Because if they dig a hole into a chasm, you're going to lose the Densicore. Not that you'll kill them. Okay, these guys are resilient. You can drop them into a 500-foot crevice. And the only problem you'll have is finding out where they went. Because I tell you, you take a crevice, okay, and you're digging a hole through the mountain, find the crevice. Now, they were told go that direction. Okay, they were told go due east. So they dig out, hit the crevice, fall down the crevice, bounce down, ping pong all the way to the bottom. Now they're at the bottom. Okay, they don't think in terms of let's climb. Okay, they literally go, okay, we were told to dig east. That's where we're going. Okay, there have been more than a few of the Densicore that have dug into an alcohol tube, into a jambal tube, and drowned. Not because of the fact that they were suicidal, but because they didn't realize that the tune was there. Yeah, ultimately, Joseph, that's exactly what they do. You can't scare them. There's no fear involved because you actually have to register the threat. Okay, now bear in mind, when you run into a critter, okay, there are critters in the inner earth, and that's where these guys dwell. You'll never see a Densicore on the surface, because if he ever breaks out on the surface, he's going to go until he can dig back underground. And because they're literally, I shouldn't say they're not afraid. They do not like the big yellow eye. Okay, the big yellow eye is absolutely the cause of all their fears. And if it can see them, they're in trouble. Okay, but Densigor are absolutely, they're a wonderful group of people. Terrible conversationalists. And here you go now. You understand mathematics to a degree. 3 times 3 is 9, 1 plus 1 is 2. Well, here's the numerical system of the Densigor. 1, and another 1, and another 1, and another 1. And that's all there is to it. Okay, it just carries on in perpetuity. Not the brightest people on the planet. Now, you go to the Corbor, they will calculate out. They're the ones that handle the Densigor because they're the only ones that can. Because you got to remember, the Densigor is only 2.5, maybe 3 feet. The Corbor push 4. Okay, and the Corbor, the way they stop a Densigor from doing anything is they grab the Densigor actually wear, on top of wearing their normal clothing, they have a handle built into the clothing so that any Corbor that spots the Densigor going the wrong direction picks him up by the handle. And the thing is, the Kaldar are not tall enough to do it easily. The Corbor are. But here's the thing. You find a Densigor going the wrong direction. All the Corbor do is they'll pick him up by the handle, look at him and go, which way? Speak. And then they'll slowly turn them. And as soon as they're pointed in the right direction, because they do on occasion get offline. Maybe what they did is they had a cave fall in. They got a little disoriented. Okay. And now they're pointing the wrong direction. So it's like speak. And all they do is they turn it slowly. It's kind of like a Geiger counter. Okay. Pick them up and turn it. And eventually the Densigor will start trying to walk. Okay. And it'll get really fervent. And as soon as you point in the right direction, his feet start going very much like a treadmill. It's like, okay, that's where I got to go. And now you put them down and away they go. Just do not point them into the forge. They won't know any better, but your forge will be wrecked. Okay, you get the idea of their IQ. Now, how would you like that kind? Now, again, I'm going to go back to this idea. We're going to go back to this idea that humans go, oh, we're good at war. It's great to be good at war if war had a purpose. Densigor don't go to war. Okay, they go that direction. That's all there is to it. Okay, it's not we're going to conquer that. We're going there. They don't think about who is there, what is there, or why it's there. Okay, and where the thing with the Densigor, as much as the rest of the Kaldar are literally clan oriented. Okay, they are. What you end up with is you end up with a group of that are clan oriented going, this is our area. And one of the things that the guards in all the rest of the races of the Kaldar are responsible for is if you spot a Densigor coming into the area, turn him around. Just pick him, don't kill him, there's no point. Turn him around and send him somewhere else. You don't have to explain it because they won't get it anyway. Okay, and you got to realize the Barrowing, the Evenwing, and the Corbor all can produce a Densigor. Okay, now Densigor do have the point. Not the least of which is pack animals. Okay, but you hook them up to a harness. And all you do is you tell them, if you're not ready, you go, sit. And they'll plant themselves right where they are, harness and all. Okay, you load everything you want on the wagon or on the carrier. And then you tell them, go. Now, just think about it. One Densigor will move will easily move, close, it can drag a ton or a half a ton. Put 2 on, they'll pick up a ton and walk with it. What happens if you put 6 Densicore on one slab? How much weight are you going to be able to move? Okay, humans use all these people, and most races use all kinds of people to drag battering rams and what have you. All these guys get is, here's your weapon. That's the direction you're going. Now, you guys may well know what a sap is. I'm referring to the military type sap from the Middle Ages. Okay, when we're looking at a sap, they're the people that dug under fences and what have you, or under walls. These guys, all they do is get a heavy duty mineral, a heavy duty mining axe, and go to town. And since they don't understand the idea of fear, oh, and by the way, that's a neat little part about it. Remember I mentioned Corbor? The Corbor can absolutely, if they get hit with magma, they're toast. Densicore don't have that problem. A Densicore will walk through a magma flow. And yeah, no doubt, Joseph. Joseph, I saw one the other day. Speaking of horse, total sidetrack here, I know that. Saw one on Facebook, and I forget what the horse's name was. But the horse did not like being ridden with a saddle. So every time that anybody brought a saddle towards the horse would lay down in the field and put its head down and close its eyes. Wouldn't even open its eyes until it heard the people with the saddle walk away. Then it'd get up and go about its business. Now, with that, when you're looking at the Densicore, will walk into a magma flow, and they will walk out the other side. They may end up dead in as much as if they don't get out the other side before they suffocate, they're dead. Okay, but what they do is they don't actually inhale the magma, but they've got that dense of skin. Okay, now, when you're looking at the Coldar, what you know is dwarves. Okay, these guys are very gregarious. They do like singing. They do like their fighting. They do like their drinking and what have you. The fact is, if they're not fighting, the odds are they're having a party. Something about being 90% of the time drunk. Okay, but with what they drink, the fact they get a little lightheaded, that's not bad. Okay, literally, I've never seen a human drink a Coldar, or any other race for that matter, drink a Coldar under the table. I've seen them drink under the table with a Coldar, but that is another issue. But when you take a look at the Barrowain, now that's the Coldar that live up in the mountains. Okay, they're the ones that literally they live in the underground, in the cavern systems. Find an old mine, they'll happily go into it and live there. But they travel in clans. Now, I will warn you, a Coldar clan can be anywhere from 5 to 100 people. Usually it doesn't get to the size of 100, primarily because many of them go, I desire my own clan. There's no argument to it. I'm going off to start my own clan. And the whole idea is you get married, you commit to another Coldar, and you now have a clan. You go off, make your own rules. But everybody listens to the monarch, except the Densicore. And the monarchs just simply go, we watch them. Okay. It's like trying to herd cats. Okay. Good luck with it. They don't listen well. I heard it put one day, somebody says, well, why, and like we asked them, what's your cat's name? The guy looks at me and goes, we didn't name it. I mean, the dang thing doesn't come anyway. But even when you take a look at and bear in mind, the monarchs right now, the monarch of the Kaldar is a Corbor. Okay. No, my apologies. He is not. The monarch, the Kaldar monarch, is still a Barrowain. Okay, but he's the only Barrowain that will go down into the Corbor Empire. Okay, into their clan seats, because Barrowains on the whole do not go really, really deep. They only go down the first 150, 200 feet. Okay, or up, as in they will go up inside a mountain, right? But they don't go as far down, and that's probably wrong. I'm not good with distance, in case you hadn't noticed. But the Barrowains stay in the sand closer to the surface. Corbor are the deep dwellers. Okay, they never see the daylight ever. But the monarch of the Corbor, the monarch of the Kaldar is still the original monarch. He's still to this day alive. Okay, and we are talking about a gentleman that was brought forth. Okay, way back before mankind even saw the light of day. Okay, but essentially, when you take a look at the originals, because the Kaldar draw their life force from the earth itself. Yes, they like their fermented foods. Okay, but their life's blood is drawn straight from the emanations of the planet. Okay, now the Kaldar are an ancient race. Okay, so we've got these guys to get along well enough. But what you got to realize is, humans say we can go to war. Okay, but humans on the whole haven't got a snowball's prayer. Okay, and against them. And again, do understand, much as the Kaldar like to fight. Okay, it's very rare they end up killing each other. Okay, even accidental deaths are rare. Accidental deaths of a Kaldar against anything are pretty high when you think in terms of when they first say hello. Okay, worst thing you ever see is a human going up to a Kaldar and going give them a Kaldarian greeting. Odds are you're going to have a split skull, especially if you make the mistake of telling the Kaldar that, not to hold back. You want a real Kaldarian handshake. Okay, because I will tell you, the Kaldar, he'll be standing there, and he'll take one step back and lock his head back, and then drop the forehead and just drive it into you. Well, this is certainly going to shatter your front plate. Okay, and there have been more than a few of the Kaldar that have literally turned around and end up killing somebody when they said hello. It's not an act of aggression. It's an act of greeting. Now, there are a few humans that can actually greet a Kaldar. Okay, but you never ask for an unbridled one. Greet them, certainly, but you control the speed of the impact. It's still like running your head into a fireplace. Not a good idea. Now, of course, never, we can well understand trying to greet if you're talking to the Ebenwain, with the Ebenwain, it's easy. You can stick your hand out to an Ebenwain and he'll shake your hand. He won't even try and headbutt you. Okay, but Ebenwains have interacted with humans and other various races on the surface for millennia. So they've come to understand that, yeah, they're built stronger, they still have the same immune system, but they know surface dwellers do not hold up to that kind of handshake. And by the way, here's the other little kicker where it comes to the Corbor. Okay, yes, you can tell male from female. They are a binary race. Okay, as in male and female. But you gotta look below the neck. Because if you look at their face, both are heavily bearded, males and females. But they're either heavily bearded, long haired. What we got here? Now, who mentioned bacon? Okay. Welcome back there, Rachel. When you take a look at the Ibenwain, okay, the Ibenwain have been interacting with people and know that surface dwellers are fragile. Okay, the Barrowain, they see human, they see surface dwellers as a little slow. I think it's the best way to put it. Not because it's not a question of they don't like them. They can't tolerate the light. Okay. Yeah, you're talking about bacon here again, guys. That was my breakfast. I took a pound of bacon, and that's all I had for breakfast. Well, that was actually second breakfast, but you get the idea. But when you take a look at the Ebenwain, the surface dwarves interact with surface dwellers quite readily. But when you look at the Barrowain don't deal with people because people cannot see in their realm. And it's too bright for the Barrowain to be outside without special glasses. Okay. And I'm not talking about the tinted type. Okay. Tinted it's a wonderful thought, but it's not strong enough. The neat part about it is those two races can deal with humans. Corbor, not going to understand them. Very few humans have ever seen a Corbor. But you got to remember with the Corbor, I forgot to cover that little part. Your Ebenwain tend to be on the brown, and their skin tends to be dark tan. Okay, sometimes depending on where they are, they may develop a bit of a green tint. Then you've got the Barrowain. Those are gray. Okay. And then when we get to the Corbor, you're dealing with absolutely black. Okay. You'll never see a Corbor in the dark. And they will step in and they'll step against the wall and you won't even notice them. Okay. Unless you take them off. Now, of course, when you get a look at the Densicore, they come in all kinds of colors. Okay, any one of the races can produce a Corbor. It's easy to spot a Corbor, though. Okay, because they simply walk with their head down and they go that direction. It's not they go north, south, east, or west. They just go that direction. One of the first things that any Coldar does when a child is born, they watch for behavioral patterns. Now, a Densicore will immediately start to head in whatever direction it's heading. Okay. Now, the first place it's going to head is wherever the alcohol is. Wherever the fermenting vats are. That's its first destination. Not because they're born drunk, but because they're born literally geared for it. Okay. So the first thing you do is pretty much any Coldar will try and get there. But the Densicore are the quickest to maneuver. Of course, the Densicore don't try and stand up to go anywhere. Okay. They literally start to crawl. It's kind of like watching worms get loose. Okay. I'd say snakes, but snakes have a tendency of moving a lot faster. Okay. Denskor will get up in the morning as soon as they can maneuver. They won't start crying. They will start moving towards the fermentation vats. Every other color will start crying. Okay. Only to develop a very, they start off not with this high-pitched whine. When they start, they've got a gravelly voice. It's like, and they'll say they won't call anything by name for obvious reasons, but they start growling in a very guttural term. All Corbor, no. That's the alcohol. That's what they're looking for. Okay, so they get mobile. By the time a Corbor is 5 years old, it's already got a job. By 5 years old, they're already working. By 3, they're already fighting. Okay, and no, there is no separation. It's not a question of, the Ebenwine are not permitted to mix with the Barrowwain, and the Barrowwain are not permitted to mix with the Corbor. The Corbor tend to stay out of the equation just because they dig for the deepest spots. The Barrowwain and the Ebenwine will literally intermingle with each other. They start off in the same place, essentially, because it's safer for an Ebenwine to find an overhang or find a shallow cave to give birth in. Okay, easier to protect. Because you got to remember, these guys also work with stone. So closing off a cavern temporarily, they'll do without a problem. Okay, there's a lot more to them, by the way. But on the whole, a very decent group of people. You just got to remember, if you're going to have a fight with one, understand they have whatever their weapons are and their forehead. Okay, and they have no qualms about the idea of using their forehead against a human. They will quite readily use their forehead against a knee, a hip, the groin, whatever they can get to. Okay, if they're using their forehead against your hip, you're going home on a stretcher. Okay, it's that simple. Okay, one of the neatest things that you ever watch, and this happened way back. I actually saw this happen a couple of times where the people didn't know where they, like a tank platoon, for instance, World War I, World War II, World War II. No, I think it would have been World War I. The first tanks that came out, okay, ran into a cadre of Ebenwine. Nobody saw the tanks again. Had nothing to do with them disappearing mysteriously. What it had to do with was they ran into an Ebenwine squad. Okay, the Ebenwine disabled the tank in the only way they know how. They'd walk into the treads, snap the treads, and then they went and hauled the tanks underground. Okay, and the reason for that, humans did a fabulous job in making the armor for the tanks. Okay, the Ebenwine were quite happy about it. Net result, new generation of armor. Back in medieval times, you'd run into it on occasion. And Ebenwine are known to come into the light around humans. Okay, some of the more adventurous ones of the Ebenwine will come into the light. Okay, you can tell they're Ebenwine. They're still short, built like a freight train, but they can see what they're doing. Okay, Barrowwains can't see in the light very well. And of course, the Corbor don't even see the light. So you are looking at a group. Now, the fact of the matter is, here's the thing. The monarch says, this is what we're doing. This is our land. We're going to stay in this area. Yes, they do expand further, and some of the pioneers go outside, but they are still beholding to the monarch. Okay, now I will tell you this. The monarch that rules today he is single. He is single. He does not have a queen anymore. She passed away a long time ago. So, technically, she sits on the throne. He's not dead. Now, this is several, literally million years back. This guy just hasn't died, but you gotta remember, he was one of the original that were actually created from the stone itself, which means he's feeding off of Esau's life force. Okay, and there's a few races around that do that, but the queen, the Coldar queen, is still sitting on the throne. She's been there forever and a day because she died. Okay, and with her dying, they simply, when I talk about they made a living statue out of her, they know how, in their own way, to merge stone with flesh. What they can't do is unmerge it. Okay, which means you've got a problem. Okay, if you can merge with stone, granted, you're a statue. Problem, you're never moving again and you're never living again. You know, one of the neat parts about it is this is a group of people. They are very, when we're talking about unified in mind, one king. He's always been there. He got the message. Like when he started, he went, okay, I'm taking dominant control of this. At the time, he went to, try English. At the time he ascended to the throne, okay, he was still a barrel wine at that time. But he's a one barrel wine that literally can walk amongst the even wine and the Corbor. Now you got to understand, this individual happens to be over 5 feet tall, still built the same way. But understanding dwarves have the Corbor and the Coldar have this idea. Might is right. Okay, you take one even wing with the strength, with basically with barrel wing, but you take a barrel wing with the strength of a pair of Densicor. Okay, the eyesight of both the even wing and the Coldar, and the Corbor, and you've got a king that nobody wants to mess with. Okay, but at the same time, it was because of him that the Elfin and the rest of the races were able to move underground and survive the evolution of man. Okay, now for those of you worried about it, don't. If the Coldar were to even consider taking over the planet, your cities would drop in a heartbeat. And I don't mean they'd run in the front gate. I mean they would literally plot out where your cities are sitting and drop sinkholes engulfing your entire city. We are not talking about just walking in and attacking people. We're talking about knocking the superstructure of your city out from under you. Okay, so you can picture how this may hinder human war. Okay, no, in answer to that nice little question, the Coldar are not members of the consortium. They are an ancient race. They evolved here way before the consortium ever got here. Okay, so they don't answer to the consortium, but they have no interest in the surface. They never did. This was one of the things that led to the humans being built in the first place. Because the Coldar, much as they were absolutely better equipped for hand-to-hand combat, if you think about knockdown brawl, okay, they were difficult to control. Okay, and had no interest in being outside because the Barrowans, they stayed there underground, and then eventually you have a few of the more adventurous ones move out into the world. Net result, you had an offshoot, the Ebenway, okay, that became surface dwellers in the valleys, in the hills, that sort of thing. They still tend to dig into hollows, okay. And before anybody starts thinking about it, no, Kaldar do not climb trees. The Ebenway will cut them down if they have to, but usually the Ebenway waits for other issue. They're much more inclined to be surface miners. Okay, but they do not. They don't go the Ebenway try and meld or try and interact with humans to learn from the humans about some of the surface dwelling stuff. Ebenway do work with leather. A lot of what they've learned has come from some of the Elfin. And where did we go? Just because I want to make sure I give you the right name here. There. Those grades, I need the go way back up here. And we scroll up. This is what I get for working on the book today. There we are. Now the Ebenway learned a lot of their leather work from the Jerome, okay, from the Plains people. I missed the race here. I gotta go back into my notes, okay, because it wasn't the Jerome. There is another race of elephant that I missed, and just to make sure I find it, where am I? I gotta go back to my notes because, like I said, I've added all these things to Races of the World second printing. Okay, but the Ebenway decided they liked the daylight. They were working in the daylight. Yes, they still live in caves, but they live in more what humans would call caverns. Okay, where they're easy to get into. They're not little tiny holes to sneak into, which is much what the parakeet do. A parakeet will crawl into a gopher hole, which gives you an idea how small they are. Okay, and I shouldn't say they will. I should say the child parakeet will crawl into a gopher hole. Okay, that's where they hide. But when you're looking at the Ebenway, they decided to deal with the surface dwellers, the ones that would deal with them. They've still got the same temperament. They still have this same issue of we like our food fermented. Okay, that's what they eat. That's what they drink. Of course, like in France, from my understanding, humans do not have a minimum age limit. For wine, they literally go, "You're breathing, you can drink." Okay, the Kaldar are absolutely the same way. Okay, yes, there has been in the past a Kaldar that was allergic to alcohol, to fermented food. They don't live long. It has something to do with they starve to death. Because you got to remember, in their case, you got to remember, in the Kaldar case, they do not digest standard food well. Okay, what it is they eat normal food. It goes into their stomach, and the acid level is so heavy in their stomach that it breaks it down and essentially ferments it on the go. Okay. This is one of the things you got to realize. These guys utilize alcohol as a digestive juice. Okay. Much like chickens and some other birds. For instance, the ostrich will eat small stones to grind up their food in their stomach. Okay. Coldar, they literally drink their stomach acid. More to the point, they drink alcohol and it sits there like stomach acid. And it works as a fermentation pot. Okay. This is one of the reasons why, and I mentioned the Sanguinan a little while ago. Okay. They don't like fighting, and they love, to a degree, they would love to get Coldar blood. Okay. But they tend to go to the black market for it. You got to remember, Coldar blood is closer to 80% alcohol. Okay. It's still thick and viscous like human blood. Still red blooded. But the alcohol content coupled with the acidic content is insane. Okay. But Sanguinan it's an alcohol they can drink. Klingons used to drink blood wine. Sanguinan drink Coldar blood if they're trying to get drunk. Drawback there is if you don't kill the Coldar, he'll drag his Sanguinan butt out in the middle of daylight. Right. And it's not that he'll pin him down, he'll hold him there. Okay. Matter of fact, there's a whole lot that goes with that. But the thing you got to remember with the Coldar, okay, especially with the Ebenwain, okay, the Ebenwain will deal with humans without any problem at all. Okay, aside from Paleo, social etiquette may not be their strong suit. Okay, but these are your primary types. Now, of course, we don't have, when we're talking about the Coldar, we don't have northern Coldar and southern Coldar. Because you got to remember, yes, they still live in the Northlands, but they live underground. Okay, meaning they don't have to worry about the ice and snow. Okay, they know how, they use thermal energy without any problem. As in geothermal, that fine thing called magma. They'll quite readily set up a community around a volcanic vent. That's where they get their heat. Okay, they don't have to worry about going into the snow. But this is just some of what the Coldar deal with. Okay, and this is why you don't try and pick a fight with them. Now, do they have rides? As you can well imagine, the Corbor and the Barrowain, okay, don't have a lot in the way of steeds. Okay, they have been known to raise some. And I will tell you this. There will be a book, and I've already set it up. It's another one of those in this case, it'll be meet the Caldara. Meet the Coldar. And yes, I will put onto it, in brackets, that it is dwarves. Okay, because that's what you guys know of them. But I am putting a booklet together covering the different races. Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. I do trust your day has been going well. Now, again, I'm going to go back to this funny little thing. Okay, this booklet will be coming out. I'm still working on Race of the World second printing. That is priority. I mentioned this actually the other day on Nathan's show. But the second printing has been expanded. We're about a third of the way through final edit. But here's the unfortunate part. I'm leaving the middle of August. Okay, and I'll be gone for 2 weeks. I'm not going to be working on it. So we are going to be a couple of weeks later. We're doing what we can to get it tied off. Okay, and therefore, looks like we're looking at about the middle of September to actually get it into print. I am working on one little option. I got to figure out. That makes sense. Can't do it today, tomorrow, Sunday. Monday, I don't know if they're open. So, this week, I'll go down to my printer and get a price quote. Because I will tell you, in order to get Race of the Worlds out, Race of the World second printing, I am going to, and this is something I haven't discussed with anybody because, well, owner, CEO, I get to make the decision anyway. I am going to be looking what it costs, and I am going to be pre-selling when I get to the point where I can order it. I will pre-sell books to help fund getting the first batch written. I will tell you, it's a lot bigger than I was planning on. But we'll see, and we'll talk about that at another point. Right now, what we're looking at, the Coldar, you got to understand, these guys were built, much like humans. The Coldar were built for war. Unlike humans, the Coldar went, okay, we like fighting, that's great. We like the banging heads, that's fine. But we're not coming out in the plains. You want that? Go ahead. Sun's too bright. I'm much happy with the shiny stuff here. Net result, as a warring race, wasn't really well put together. Didn't work out quite right. However, are they a race to be contended with? Certainly. Do not try and infiltrate the inner earth or hollow earth or whatever you will. Odds are you're going to run into the Corbor. They don't take a break. Okay. And, humans can work for 8 or 10, no, they can push 24 hours if they have to. But then they're pretty toasted. A Corbor, the Coldar, will literally work full tilt, or if they're marching, they will march full tilt. Not exactly a run. Okay. For 3 days without a rest. Okay. They will fight hand to hand for days on end. Because you got to remember, they run on adrenal. And they tap in the Aethar itself for their energy levels. One thing. Now, I've got stuff. I've got to get to Chris to get started on some new stuff. Chris is still handling my finances. Or not my finances. He's still handling the artwork for Race of the Worlds. But I will put it to you this way, guys. I am going to be looking for somebody that can draw realistic. Okay. As in portrait quality, if you will, for this new set of books I'm bringing out. Okay. Now, it will be coming out. First printing will go out without pictures, but I am looking for an artist that can take artwork and turn it into something that looks realistic. Okay. Do not get me wrong. I will strongly recommend in this chat room, we see him once in a while. My artist here is Chris Holm. Okay, and I will quite readily recommend him for artwork. Okay, but I'm looking for a new artist now. An additional artist is more to the point. Because my artist in England who deals with the Elderbachian Chronicles, that is John Stubbington. Okay, and absolutely, if you're looking for an artist, absolutely talk to me. Okay, and I will definitely refer them. I like I said, if I find somebody that is actually capable of doing things, that way, I will put them to use. Okay, but when we're looking at the Coldar they're wonderful people. Okay, you gotta understand, they love their alcohol, they love their fighting, and they absolutely love the shiny stuff. I swear they're related to crows, except they're really, really picky. Okay, they will. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, okay. And guys, Nathan has. I hope, Nathan, do you actually have a show tonight? Okay. If not, if he does, drop in, give him a listen. 9 p.m. Pacific. Okay. He's on there for, he's on there for an hour or so. Okay. Absolutely drop in. Give him a listen. Okay. Give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. Do subscribe. Oops. That's a problem, Nathan. Definitely subscribe. And then share the daylights out of the link. Okay. It's sharing these links that enable us to interact with people and to change this world. Well, that is a bit of a problem, Nathan. The reality is that there's a lot going on. Now, I'll tell you, and you know as well as I do, I'm the last person to tell you how to deal with the stream. I will quite readily remind you, obviously Storm knows how to solve it. You just need to let him get out of it if he's got the time and the inclination. The nice part about it is when we're dealing with the Coldor, okay, the Coldor are a massive group, and they are all over. They're all over the hollow ground, not hallowed ground, hollow ground. Okay, inner earth, hollow earth, whatever you want to call it. Okay, they live in the caves and the caverns, but they've only had in their entire existence one king. He's still alive today. Okay. And he is the only Coldor that can literally walk all the way from the surface in amongst the Evenwain, down through the Barrowwain, and down to the Corbor. Okay. He's the only one that can do it. Now, I will tell you, for all his ability, controlling the Densicore, it's not an easy task. Of course, the fact of the matter is, the Densicore have very limited vocabulary. Okay. They just simply... There we go. I'm just looking to make sure I didn't miss something here. Oh, nice. I got to ask Renee, I missed this one. Where it comes to sauerkraut, do you guys make your own or do you buy it? Because I know my ex-father-in-law, he was Polish and he made his own. I take a look at it. And again, when we take a look at the Coldor, do they ride animals? Some, yes. On the whole, they march. Okay. But I will tell you, they don't stop for much. Of course, you put Densicore in front of them, they don't stop for anything, including a downhill grade that's too far. Funny part is, when you're looking at Densicore, we're talking one definitive single-minded approach. Oops. That the fact of the matter is, the fact of the matter with the Coldor is they have this idea. They want to build. You leave them alone, they'll build forever. Okay. And there's an old saying amongst human artists even. An artist does not finish a work. They just simply stop working on it. The Coldor are the same way. Okay. There are only a few caverns that a Coldor will not dig in. Okay. And those happen to be Vulcan nesting caverns. Okay. Much as the Coldor like the shiny crystals and the shiny stones, they will not invade a Vulcan line. Philip goes, when I was little, I used to think that cemeteries were hallowed. We're hallowed ground because of all the holes. Oops, yeah, no doubt, Philip. No, hallowed is a whole different reason. I always get a kick out of it when you bring, my first concern, when somebody opens the coffin up and finds nobody home, it's like, okay, where did he go? And why isn't he there? But it's a question of, it's believed to be hallowed ground because somebody blessed it. Funny part, if the person being put in the grave doesn't believe in the blessing, okay, it's not going to have a whole lot of bearing on them. In other words, if you believe in God and somebody gives you last rites and gives you prays over you that you're going to rest in peace, you'll stay put. Okay, you'll absolutely stay put. However, Sangin didn't have a problem. May you rest in peace for all eternity. Not interested. He gets up and leaves. Okay. So, we are dealing with an interesting set. I've seen, as a matter of fact, it's funny when you think of it. People got buried in graves, and quite often get buried alive. So they put the little bell in there. Well, here's the thing. When you're dealing with some people that got buried, okay, number one, witches aren't overly interested in a blessing. Well, Joseph, I'm not going to get into that one. Joseph is telling us that science is telling us death is an illusion. I'm telling you, death ain't much of an illusion. If it's an illusion, it is a phenomenal one. I've buried a lot of friends and family that seem to have bought into the illusion. Myself, I missed that lesson. Absolutely, I'm an abnormality. But, science has said a lot of things that science is, politely put, wrong about. Witches are good luck. Person, turquoise, wizard wand. Yeah, as we can well imagine, I do agree with you there, Philip. Now, I don't know if I would say witches on the whole are good luck, but on the whole, witches are good people. There are black witches. And I'll tell you, if you ever find a black witch, show the black witch to a good witch, to a white witch. And by the way, that's simply attitude. That's how they focus. That's not who they are. Well, might be. But it's what they do that determines whether they're white, black, or gray. Okay. But if you ever find a black witch, point him or her out to a white witch. And you'll have an interesting interaction. Not a good one, but interesting. Ultimately, yes. Now, the funny thing here is, according to, you take a look at it and get this one. Okay. According to much in the way of belief, the Corbor believed that they couldn't survive on the surface. They believed they had to stay underground until a few spunky ones walked out and developed and evolved into the Ebenway. Okay. Much like I'm absolutely convinced humans, when they started, were living in caves. Thank you so much, LA. Okay. I'm absolutely certain that the way humans got out of the caves was somebody took a wrong turn, got out of the cave, couldn't find his way back in, figured he better make the best and make the most of it. We are down to the 30-minute mark, guys. So, like I said, a couple of very important factors. I figure this last half hour, what I've taken looking at is going, okay, here's where we're standing. So, that said, there's two types of artists I'm actually looking for. one that can draw realistically, because the new series of books I'm working on, okay, I'm about to tie off Races of the World's first volume. Okay, volume 1, second printing. I agree with you, LA. Humans, I don't, you think about it, humans, let's say, their focal point and their attention to detail, on the whole, is limited. Okay, but I am looking for an artist that can draw realistic looking entities. I am not replacing Chris Holm or John Stubbington. Okay, but in order to take the next set up the way I'd like, I've got to find a new artist, one that can draw realistic people. Okay, and one that can. I got your message there, Joseph. The descriptions are easy. Okay, the descriptions are literally, on the whole, in Races of the World. Okay, because there will be minor differences. But I'm not going to say I'll take the first person by any means. I spent 1.5 years looking for John when I found him. And it was almost another year before I settled on Chris. Now, I'm looking for that, but I'm also looking for a technological artist. Somebody that can draw stuff that looks technological. Okay. And yes, I will, for obvious reasons, have to give you descriptions. Okay, it's that simple. Now, that's first and foremost. If anybody is looking for me, like I've mentioned, number one, I'm absolutely able to come, I'm absolutely willing to come on other people's shows, as evidenced by the fact I'm on Spaced Out Radio and quite frequently now on the Quantum Show when I can manage it. But here's the other thing. Newsflash for you guys, and I found this out just the other day. Okay. Found this out the other day. These books, this size, the self-help ones, Believe in Your, and the ones that'll be meet the such and such, are now, and I meant to talk to you about this, Storm. All of the books this size, okay, all of them are now. I've just sent a book to Australia. Now I'm in Canada. Australia is on the other side of the world. Therefore, $20 Canadian worldwide. Okay, they can be ordered at the top of the chat room in the Buy Me a Coffee link. Okay, but all of these ones that are this size, I've just found out I can now ship them worldwide for $20 Canadian. I'm not going to complain about it. Okay, I was hoping to find a balance point. I have. Okay, and yes, LA, I do have your copy of Believe in Your Finances ready to go. Okay, the other thing that I do want to remind people of is I have reopened the door for consulting, medium work, and face-to-face healing. Okay. Because the reality of it is that, I've been doing it for 37 years, and many of the people out there are charging $200, $300 an hour. I charge a staggering $20 for 15 minutes, $80 an hour Canadian. The only thing I will guarantee before anybody jumps on it is I'll guarantee I won't lie to you to make you feel better unless you ask me to. Okay, I will be putting the different sites. I will be putting out a posting regarding how many different places I have worked. Because like I said, I've got 37 years under my belt from a professional standpoint. Wait a minute. Yeah, that's right. 37. I think starting in 86. But when we're looking at as you can see, the Kaldar are not a simple race. Okay. I cannot even begin to imagine carving like that. Okay, and do understand, the Even Wayne absolutely carve. They do leather work, that, and they work with natural materials. The Barrowayne are stone workers, and then you get the Corbor, which are the deep dwarves. Okay, when we're looking at the Densicore, well, the tunnel rats, they will dig their way through anything, and unfortunately, that can cause problems. Okay, but a lot of this information, by the way, is being put in the cursory information, is being put in Races of the Worlds. What extra I've got will be going in to meet the caller. Okay, I'll be putting a lot of this, as much information as I can, on paper so that people can get a hold of it. Do I do it for free? No. My limit of what I do for free is this live stream and positive perspectives. Okay, so we got positive perceptions here. All of this is done for free. Okay, positive perceptions or perspectives is a free newsletter that gets done for free. It comes out once a month. Okay, and other than that, yes, I absolutely charge. Yes, I absolutely. For me, this is a natural ability, and for those of you that have the brilliant idea, okay. I've got to ask LA, when you say these folks, I take it you're referring to the Kaldar. Okay. And the Kaldar themselves are the species. The Densicore, the Corbor, the Barrowayne, and the Evenwayne they are different races, much like Orientals, Caucasians, East Indians, your Africans are all human, but they're all human. But all of those different ones are races. Okay, so yeah, we are talking about a species. Okay, now, what I haven't figured, I've left outside. I'd love to tell you what I'm going to be dealing with tomorrow. Okay. All right. We're going to have to go into a slightly different venue because we've got the outfit already done. We've already got the Calder done. What you know is dwarves. Okay. Tomorrow we're going to take a little bit of a spin, and we're going to take a look at some of the aquatic races. These are not multiracial. They're multiracial species. I know that. Okay, but we're going to take a look at some of what we have in the way of the sea-dwelling races, sea-dwelling species. Okay, and we'll focus on the ones that actually have what you would consider sentience. Okay, they may not look human. Okay, I'm not dealing with creatures at this point. We'll have to deal with some of them later. Okay, but when we take a look at them, okay, tomorrow we're going to be dealing with the water dwellers, with the amphibs. Okay, then we're going to deal with the dweller with the woodland dwellers. Okay. By the way, I'm going to have to talk to somebody because I'm still missing one piece of information. I don't know how to identify which races humans are calling Fae. That would be really handy if somebody can fill me in on that. But we're going to be, like I said, we're going to be dealing with the water dwellers tomorrow. Okay. And I'm just debating whether we'll split them in. They'll definitely be water dwellers. Some will be ocean dwellers. Some will be amphibs. But the fact being, they can live underwater. Okay. Then we'll deal with some of the woodland races. But the important factor here, if you do occasionally see a Kaldar wandering around on Earth, But something we got to remember: humans qualify the little people of Earth as dwarves and midgets. And do me a favor: don't take offense to either one of those words. Some people do. I understand why you do and why some people do. Okay, but when I talk about little people, I mean people that are under humans that are under 4 feet tall. Okay, now understand, humans do come that short. When I'm talking about the Coldor, okay, the Coldor, you'll see a few of them around. Okay, one of the biggest indicators that you'll see with them is they have a much solider frame. Okay, but they have been known to be out in public. Okay, not very often, but if you ever see one in public, you're looking at an Ebenwing. Okay, because the Ebenwing are the only ones that come out that can see clearly in the daylight. The Barrowwain and the Corbor can't. And there are times when I wonder if the Dancicors see anything. They just go, I'm going that direction. But as LA pointed out, very single-minded. Okay, they do not learn. Like, their whole brain does not work around this idea of mathematical configuration. They're great for digging a hole straight, but that's it. Okay, you can absolutely. The thing is, when you're pointing a Dancicor in the right direction, you go that direction. If you want them to go up, you get down to the Dancicor's level, and you grab his head, you tilt it, and you go that way. Okay, and then go that way. The reason you don't want to do that is because you don't want the Dancicor on the surface. It's just a bad idea. People know those. Philip, the entities you're referring to, people know as the Will-O-Wisp. Okay. Now, I've got information on them, just not here. It's in book 2. And I can't give you a lot to go on right now. But usually what they do is they take them out into the woods. And what they do is they lead them around until they get lost. Lost, hurt, damaged, whatever. They feed off the life energy. Okay, this is why they lure them away. And that's why you're told, don't follow the lights into the woods. It's not going to end well. Okay, but that's who you're looking for, is the Will-O-Wisp. Now, that's the human term for them. I got to look up what it is. I'm wondering, and I'm just going to double check to see if I've already got it. Volume 2. Let's go to here. No. No, I don't have them in. So the Will-O-Wisp will end up in Volume 3 because I'm already at a limit for Volume 2. But I'll have to look up the information. Now, where are we? Right about there. Okay, so this is where things are going right now. And again, if somebody decides they want me to come down and speak, all I require is an invitation. Okay, and possibly the money. We'll figure that out. But with that in mind, when I'm coming down into an area, I will, aside from this trip into down into Las Cruces and down into Utah, I won't be doing any healings for anybody except, yes, LA, what you and I and Storm have discussed, we will be dealing with. Okay, but will I be connecting with other people while I'm down there? Not a prayer. Okay, the odds of my having time for it, not good. And we are now down to the 15-minute mark. Now, I've got to do a reassessment today, figure out how many actual books I've got. I've got a couple of ads I've got to put out as far as really starting to push the visibility of what I'm working on. For you guys, it's real simple. Any of the books I talk about, go to the top of the live stream where it says buy me a coffee. All books, consulting, and just straight donation and give me a hand. All of it is available right there. Okay. Every book listed I have in stock and ready to go to print. Okay. That being said, we've got to grow the number of people that know what's going on in this world. Okay. So many people are looking at everything bad in the world. It's time we grow this site where what we're doing is going, everybody has value. And everybody is welcome, providing you're not being a dip. And yes, I will use that term quite readily. Okay. I've already had one heart attack based on stress. This is why the moderators deal with things. Okay. So I don't have to. But everybody is absolutely welcome. I'm aiming at this being an absolute safe place for people, for all people, regardless of their position. Okay. That said, we have to look at this world and go, okay, you can continue on the path you're on. Absolutely. Have happy with it. We know how it ends. Okay, look at history. Rome did what people are doing to each other now. They did in Sodom and Gomorrah. That worked well. They did in Rome. That was a fun job. They did at the end of the monarchies. That worked out really brilliantly. Okay. It happened in the States during the Boston Tea Party because people were being treated poorly. They were being separated and isolated and treated like garbage. You see how well that works. How about we try this other neat idea? Be nice. 3 karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay. Those 3 laws, those are the only ones I worry about. Okay. Because take a look at all the ones you follow. And you'll find, I'm certain of it, everyone you follow fits into those 3. Okay. The reason for that, I'm going to throw a wrench into things. Okay, I actually put it in the last newsletter. But I'm going to throw a wrench into things. You guys figure this one out. Somebody's going to be madder than the wet hen at me. Okay, you know about the time. Many of you are Christian. Okay, you may not go to church, but you know the story. You've heard tale, even if you're not Christian. You've heard about the 10 Commandments. I'm here to tell you what was written on the first set of tablets that was brought down were only those 3 laws. Only those 3. Okay. The 10 were written down after the first set was shattered. No, I'm not going into detail on it. But those 3 laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Okay. Now, in my world, we've got inflation going up all over the place. What did I do? I found out I can bring my cost down. Okay. My consulting, I've been paid as much as $2,600 an hour. Okay. And I used to charge $180. I reached a point when inflation started to get stupid. I went, no, we're cutting it to 90. Then, just this year, back I think in March, prices are rising. I went, no, this ain't going to work. The people that require the assistance, okay, I only charge $80 an hour, $20 for 15 minutes. But here's the kicker, okay, if you don't like it, I'm not going to guarantee what I'm telling you anyway. But I will tell you this, okay, look at it tongue in cheek. I don't care. Okay, all I'm doing is giving you what I see. You desire me to lie to you? Ask. I'll lie. You don't ask, you're getting the truth whether you like it or not. But, like I said, what I do with it? This series, the Believe in You series, okay, and the Meet the whichever race or whichever group, $20 anywhere on Earth. Haven't got it off the planet yet, I don't think. Okay, but that's where we're standing at this point. We are going to be continuing to expand. Rest assured, much as I've got my own outlook on life, I'm not shutting down the stream. I may have a heart attack here and there. I'm not going to have another stroke. I've had enough of them. One was enough. Okay, you've heard the old saying, once is not enough. I'll tell you, one stroke, one taste of ketchup and ice cream, one taste of grits, these were enough. I don't require them anymore. Okay, I'm not about to touch them. But if you've got questions, absolutely, whatever day we're on, pop the questions into the chat room. I will do my best to answer. Okay, or drop me a message in the notes. I am doing my best to get to them. Unfortunately, I don't always get to them on time. But same idea if you give me an email. Drop me an email. If you look below every one of these videos, you'll find a whole list of ways of getting a hold of me. Okay, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or what they're now calling X. I'm still looking on Twitter. And that's why I got a program. That's why I'm leaving it. Philip, I haven't tried it with cheese. I've tried it with cheese on the side. I have tried it with strawberry, and I absolutely agree with you. Phil's just saying ice cream is good with cheese and strawberries. It's also good with blueberries, by the way. Not so fond myself of ice cream with chocolate. But, it's one of those neat little staples we try and keep around the house. The nice part about all of this is we are looking at a world that is changing. Okay, it is one that is going to change for the better. But it's up to us to do it. And as you can tell, when we talk about the Corbor today, as you can tell, these are not people you really desire to go to war with. They're not going to play by your rules. Definitely not the dance corps. So I will be adding this information to two races of the world second printing. And it will be going into the Meet the Corbors. Okay, but there we'll break it up and you'll get a lot more of the detail. Some of this information, depending on how much I can fit in. Okay, there are limits to what I can do, or more to the point, what I can afford to do. That said, if you've got questions, absolutely do drop me a line and ask the questions. I don't usually take much offense to questions. And I will tell you, sometimes people turn around and they'll go, oh, this person's being too harsh. Let's get something straight. The moderators do exactly what I've asked them to do. And yes, I've given them room to be creative. Okay. I mean, take a look at it. A couple of days ago, I think might have been last week, my whole health system went onto a tailspin. And LA Moon, one of our moderators, is watching me and goes, Keith, we've got to put this show on hold. You've got to deal with your health. Okay. I got a bad habit of ignoring it. Might be evidenced by, I don't know, 9 times dead, 1 questionable. Oh, him? You're talking the one up here. Yes, you are so. I didn't actually name that one. The reason I've got him up there, I've got him there somewhere in the house. I also have a Black Panther. I like the felines. Okay. And I don't know if I've got any others. Okay, but no, I have not put a name on him at this point. Might be an idea. The couple of pictures I do have, they actually told me their names. or I was told. Like, for instance, I've got, where are we? Just about out. I'll show you this anyway. This picture here. I stumbled across this picture, and you'll love this. That is a life-size drawing of a young lass I know. Let's see if I can get her in here. Okay. This is a friend of mine, Mira. She happens to be a fairy. Okay. And that's literally a life-size painting. Okay. I've got a physical mannequin of her as well as a friend of hers by the name of Prita. Now, that being said, we are at the 5-minute mark, and therefore, thank you so much for sharing your time with me today and with us today. Well, the answer is yes, Philip. She can fly. Okay, not in this form. But thank you so much for your sharing your time with us today. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. I will be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to be dealing with the sea-dwelling species. Okay, not necessarily on Earth. Okay, we're going to deal with sea-dwelling species tomorrow. Okay, a little bit of a veer off, but until then, do take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.